Welcome to another episode of Practically Political. I'm Dave Spencer.
And I'm Carrie Sheffield. Let's get right to it. All right, Dave, so there were more than 200,000 border encounters in August. Democrats and Biden only care about the rich elite Martha's Vineyard. When will they actually care about all American towns that are being overrun and unable to provide the services at the border? We also have over 70,000 dead in 2021 from fentanyl, most of it coming over from Mexico.
Well, we got two unrelated issues, and it's a little dramatic to say that towns all over America are dealing with it. It's border towns.
No, I said on the border. That's what I said.
And by the way, Florida is not, last time I checked, Florida was not a border town. That's why DeSantis picked people up in Texas, then stopped in Florida, then went to Martha's Vineyard. But we'll get to that in a minute. But let me just say a couple of things. First of all, I've said this before, it's worth reiterating. This is a crisis that Donald Trump created and Joe Biden exacerbated. When Barack Obama left office, border crossings were at a 50-year low. It was one of his most unheralded successes. He was known as the deporter-in-chief. Then Trump came in bashing immigrants from the start. That's one of the main reasons we still don't have enough workers, because he restricted all kinds of immigration, good and bad, threw the baby out with the bathwater. And I want to mention one other thing. There was a deal, which is the first deal that should be made, in my opinion, where you increase border security in exchange for amnesty for the Dreamers. He had that deal done with Congress, but one of his, shall I say kindly, slightly xenophobic advisors, Stephen Miller, nixed it. Oh no, Mr. President, your base isn't going to like that. So he basically reneged on his own deal. So the Trump administration did basically nothing, and the problem got worse. Now, Biden has made it worse. And by the way, I've been saying this for years to the Dems. This idea that letting a lot of people in the country because they're going to become Democrats and vote your way is proving to be false. It's proving to be demonstrably false. Just look at how much Trump improved from 2016 to 2020, particularly in a lot of border towns. And as far as the fentanyl goes, that's a total non sequitur. Drugs have been coming across this border for decades. The war on drugs is an abject failure for one main reason, because we take a supply approach to a demand issue. As long as there's a demand, there's going to be a supply. And there's a whole reason why we have drug abuse in this country. That's probably, we'll save that for another show. But it has nothing to do with immigration. Your thoughts?
It has to do with the border. And yes, the smuggling of drugs, the vast majority of fentanyl. Fentanyl is a new problem in America. The number of fentanyl deaths has like orders of magnitude skyrocketed most recently. And that's why it's a new issue. And it's a border issue because the vast majority is coming up from the border. And the fact that you're blaming Trump. You spent a minute blaming Trump and only about 20 seconds talking about Biden.
No, I said it was both.
Says a lot about your priority.
Both.
No, but you named one of Trump's aides. You didn't name any of Biden's aides who are incentivizing this. And the border crossings are so much higher under Biden than the border crossings were. 2 million so far. So I don't think it's useful to bash Trump.
I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying it was a problem that Trump created and Biden made worse. I think that's a very accurate description of the problem. And that's precisely what I said. I'm not giving Biden a pass. And that's why I mentioned this strategy of, the whole replacement theory is BS. But this idea that this is why we have an immigration problem, simplistically, is because Republicans like the cheap labor, Democrats want the votes. And that was true for a long time. But as we know, the paradigm has changed. People are no longer voting on economic issues. That's what Donald Trump proved. Oftentimes they vote more on culture, race, and religion. So this strategy of, we'll just let a lot of people in because they're going to become Democrats is a bad strategy. So it needs to be rethought. But the drugs are totally unrelated. Fentanyl happens to be the drug of the moment. It was crack in the 80s, and cocaine. Those were flowing across the border, both during Democratic and Republican administrations. We've tried interdiction. It doesn't work. Part of the problem is the hollowing out of rural America. And that's a real problem. And a lot of those voters have gone to Trump. And look, the Democrats discarded them. Okay, I've acknowledged that. But are there any real solutions? No. What it would give me one real solution that the Republicans have for immigration right now. What has Ron DeSantis said other than pulling political stunts? It's actually going to solve the problem.
There's a policy called Remain in Mexico that Trump negotiated with Mexico.
Biden brought that back.
And Biden he didn't from week one. But what
is Ron DeSantis? You're not answering the question. What has Ron DeSantis suggested? See, this is my problem. It's the same thing with this white grievance politics from Trump. They've identified a real problem, but instead of trying to solve it, they just use it for stunts. They just try to get political points. They just try to sow division. There's no solutions. I mean, the Republican Party in Washington, D.C. does not have one solution that they've proposed. Now, governors on states have some, but let's just wait and do nothing and hope for the best. It's the same thing with immigration. Give me one idea that Ron DeSantis has that's going to solve the problem.
Well, a federal database to do the checking of immigrants. Because the thing is,
that's not his idea. That's been everybody mentions that.
No, but it's something that hasn't been implemented. And the thing is, in general, the fact that Florida is gaining and attracting population while California is shrinking population, it's going to be more of a hub. There's going to be more economic activity. But what's interesting is that, you're right. The Latinos in America are trending more Republican. And Florida is actually a hotbed of that because a lot of the people who leave these regimes that are despotic and very much about command and control and very much about, government corruption, basically, they come to the U.S. and they're like, we don't want socialism. We're fleeing that. And so Florida is actually a really great case of a success story for, attracting Latinos and attracting Hispanic immigrants and, making sure that it's the legal way. That's the thing. Like, first of all, I totally reject when you're talking about, you brought race into this. This has nothing to do with race. It has to do with illegal versus legal immigration.
I brought up what?
Race. You said white grievance. This has nothing to do with
I'm talking
race.
About Trump's.
This has to do.
No. You're conflating two different issues. What I said was that Donald Trump's politics is white grievance, okay? It's foment people's anger.
And that's just not true.
So he's not proposing any solutions. There are no solutions.
He is proposing solutions. The Remain in Mexico policy has been very effective.
I'm talking about
where
economic.
People have to.
There's two different issues. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, yes. Well, also, even the Obama Civil Rights Commission noted that illegal immigration suppresses the wages of Black men who are citizens of the United States. So it's a big economic issue. And I think that's no secret why Trump did so much better with, Black voters, especially Black men, compared to many other Republican predecessors, including John McCain, including Mitt Romney. I never heard you call those guys white grievance people. It really has
because
to do
it never happened
It has
before.
to do. No, because it has to do with policy. These Black workers know that if you're a lower skilled, Black workers are less likely to have a college degree. They're going to be competing with these illegal lower skilled workers. And that's a fact. That's the Obama Civil Rights Commission noted that. So I reject your framing of it, but I feel like we're just going to have to agree to disagree.
All right. Well, I reject your trying to say that the reason that Black voters and Latino voters went more for Trump. And by the way, it was 32 to 36% and 13 to 19% for Black voters. So we're not talking about huge, but the reason, and these are people that Trump called breeders and drug dealers, okay? They're not flocking to Trump. They're flocking away from the Democratic Party. And it's not because of immigration. It's because of defund the police. It's because of, these policies. Remember, in 2018, I'm a broken record on this. The Democrats got it. They realized where there's very little daylight between Trump voters and them is on kitchen table issues. And they did very well. In 2020, they blew it with talking about, confiscating guns and health care for illegal immigrants and Medicare for all this stuff that nobody except the most leftist people want. That's why those voters went away. Trump realized, and it's very true, Black and Latino voters are more pragmatic. They're more socially conservative. They don't care about mostly reparations. They care about economic opportunity, healthcare, education for their kids. They just want the same thing everyone else wants.
We agree on that.
Okay, good.